The book of 1 Corinthians is written by the Apostle Paul. Most scholars think that it's actually a reply to a letter that the Corinthian church had written to him. And so we don't have that letter, but just from the way that it is written, it would seem that it's Paul's reply to a set of questions and a set of situations, issues, some of them very negative, that were going on in the church that was in the city of Corinth. And so Paul walks them through some of the basic beliefs of the Christian life. As a matter of fact, in chapter 15, toward the end of the letter, he reminds them, he said, I'm going to tell you the thing which is of most importance. And then he goes through an explanation of the resurrection of Christ and the core of the gospel message. But he also had to deal with what were essentially some very personal circumstances. People that had fallen into sin, a church that needed to hold some members accountable for the way that they were living that was contrary to the ethic of the Christian life, and also to remind them that Christianity is to be lived in a humble posture. There were some who were utilizing the spiritual gifts that had been given for the building up of the body of Christ in order to just simply make themselves famous and make themselves well known. And so Paul has to remind them, and perhaps the most famous passage deals with the idea of gifts and how love is the most excellent way, and that it is the greatest that is given to us of how we are to live our daily life. And so the book of 1 Corinthians is a letter from a loving pastor who is trying to help correct some immorality, some misunderstandings of the gospel, but also give a direction to say, and this is where you go to from here. It is a great pattern for church leaders to follow, I think, as well, when we're looking into our congregations to say, what do we do next? Let's make sure people understand the gospel. Let's deal with the circumstances as they exist in our church today, but let's make sure we set a course and a direction that will help multiply the understanding of the gospel in our city.